Greetings, fellow Gothamites or Angelophiles. Blue Dragon 5 here.
And Tiki.
And we're here to talk about my favorite new show, Harley Quinn and the Joker versus the real world. No, but in all seriousness, folks, you've guessed it. We're back. And not only are we back, we're back. They're in a grab bag this week. They can't possibly be talking about Just Giggle It so soon. They have a death wish? They're trying to get burnt out. What are they doing? Well, folks,
Just Giggle It on a Wednesday and not a Tuesday?
Get out. Well, folks, got good news for you. We're here for a very special reason. All of our hype, all of our advertising for Harley Quinn the Joker versus the real world paid off. Not entirely because of us, but because of just the general fan love and consensus, because finally episode 5 has gotten enough views necessary to get us episode 6. After all this time, we're going to see episode 6 imminently. Now, I don't think that means tonight, but point being imminently as in very soon. I mean, if I'm a betting man, I'd say we're not doing it Tuesday for a reason, folks. That's all I'm saying. We're not doing this Tuesday for a reason. I'm not saying it's going to be Tuesday. Let me be very clear for the legalese of anyone out there saying, but they said this. I'm not saying it's going to be Tuesday. I'm just saying we don't want to take the chance. Imminent can mean many things. Point being, what we're going to do here, we're going to celebrate Harley Quinn the Joker versus the real world. We're going to get you folks hyped as we've done before, but instead of doing an extended plug, we're actually going to go through the episodes again. We've re-binged the episodes for the umpteenth time. We're gonna kind of go through them here. We're gonna kind of recap the highlight reel, if you will. Just we do something called Tiki's Universe, a little bit more free form, a little less beat by beat, a little bit more as kind of like revisiting the episodes, kind of going over some of the great parts, as it were. And it's gonna be a good time. We can maybe do some speculation for where what we know, what might happen, for all we know, going into episode 6 and beyond of the series. Again, if you guys have any comments, we'd be more than happy to share them, shout them out, the whole 9 yards. So, folks, strap in, because we're gonna be gushing about this show, man. But let's refresh on this series for a moment. Let's wind the clocks back, to quote another Joker. How did we discover the show?
Yeah, sorry. Well, Dragon, we discovered the show because we noticed that we are getting a lot of traction by talking about fan films. And honestly, it is kind of just a YouTube thing. We talked about another superhero-based fan series, which is Super Academy, of course, that spawned a good partnership with Jacob Gulliver. He still comes on the podcast from time to time to talk about Marvel stuff. And Dragon, we really wanted that same sort of community outreach, and we really wanted to support fan content. And for that, we came up with the Main Street Cinema Fan Fest. Now, the Main Street Cinema was the old movie show that we did, back in the days when everything was more categorized on the channel. Nowadays, it's a bit more generalized. So we decided this was one of the first things we covered on the Main Street Cinema Fan Fest, and it really stuck. And Dragon, remind me, how many episodes deep was this by the time we started covering it?
I want to say 2 episodes. It quite possibly could have been actually, let me redact that. I think it's 3 episodes, because we definitely had 2. I think the third one was up, and basically everyone was waiting for the 4th one, which then popped up. So I
definitely remember the 4th one dropping. Yeah,
it was either had 2 or 3 posted at the time. Definitely 2 at the very least. There was definitely 2, because again, we went through at least 2 of them. And I think I'm pretty sure there. I'm all over the place, and so I'm going to say there was 2.
Okay.
Saying we're that early on, like they had 2 in the bank.
And Dragon, I remember when you first pitched this to me, the first reaction I had just based on the title alone and nothing else was that Harley and Joker were going to go on MTV's The Real World. God. All right. I just, of course, we've talked blue in the face about this. We've literally done a promo for the show in front of each and every grab bag that we've done. We've done a lot of grab bags, folks, so Dragon, I really don't think we need to go over just kind of like the thesis statement for what makes the show awesome. I think everyone watching kind of gets it by now.
That they do. That they do. Of course, of course, just in premise, very much kind of a fusion of JGIs. I mean, I basically bring up the grab eggs. I kind of wanted to mention this: the fact, of course, we've spent a lot of time with the grab egg very serendipitously after we've covered Harley Quinn, the Joker, and of course, I think we've going through the series yet again with kind of like another look, just as we're kind of biding our time for episode 6. I think we've kind of taken a lot of the stuff that we learned from them as the performers that we've kind of gotten to know over all this time, and you go back and look at Harley Quinn the Joker, and you kind of learn some new things. You kind of infer some things there. Where Harley Quinn the Joker very much in the series is kind of a fusion of kind of the JGI's experiences in their kind of venturing to LA. It's kind of the old manifest destiny of the actor. It's like, let's go to LA, let's see what we can build. Let's seize some land, as it were.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great observation.
That's the thing. We kind of take we take kind of the JJ experiences we've kind of seen flower and grow in the grab bag, and we kind of apply that, what they learned, to kind of an iconic character who, honestly, when you really, of all the characters they could have picked, you go with the Joker, who, of course, in himself is very much a deconstruction of comedy and how he operates. But, of course, who doesn't love Batman? Therefore, who doesn't love the Joker? So, obviously, there's a lot of really good things to mine from that concept, and it's very much kind of this really unique fusion. You have the Joker and you have the LA actors experience with our sketch comedy group, the UCB gang, fused together, and that's kind of how we get the series.
Right.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So let's. One thing I want to mention too, right before, basically, folks, we're going to go through the episodes here, and we're just going to kind of go. We're going to give our thoughts on, but I want to get your experience re-binging it before we do that too. By the way. But what I'd like to do is I like to mention that what astonishes me, and Joshua Thompson, the times we've spoken to the man, the times we've kind of been on live shows and stuff with him. I think it's truly astonishing that Joshua Thomas, he really isn't he isn't an uber Batman fan. I don't mean that in the sense like he's not a Batman fan, but I mean that in the sense of he does like he's not actively doing research for the Joker, as in like he'll watch episodes of the animated series. Again, I'm sure he's read the iconic stuff, I'm sure. What I'm saying is like he's not intentionally doing like the deep pulls that we kind of see when we went through the series the first time. Where we're going beat by beat, we kind of notice all these great pulls where we're speculating as to things might have come from, and a lot of it, apparently, as we found out, is a lot of it is kind of coincidental. It's the guy who's just really in tune with the character, and again has kind of that light research going for him, where basically he's kind of inferred a lot of. He gets the character so well, and he's just kind of inhabited that character, and it's just really just this whole universe just feels so faithful to this character in every way, and it just astonishes me a lot of that is kind of coincidental. I think that's fascinating.
Yeah, for sure. Dragon, you mentioned on the grab bag last night, you described it as classic Coke Joker, and I think that's a great way to describe it because it is kind of just the Joker stripped down to the core fundamentals. There's no like really deep, complex Heath Ledger style. I mean, there is a plan going on, but it's not like a deep Nolan-esque web. You know what I mean? It's more of just kind of a simple Joker takes over the city and he wants to get a bunch of cronies to follow him.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. So, of course, I guess, of course, in revisiting things, I really like to note that I love how the breadcrumb trail really tracks together on the rewatch. It is really neat because you kind of like we build to the party arc and going from there. It's a lot of stuff is really well set up in the grand scheme of things. Again, as we were going through, we didn't quite pick up on until we get to episode 5, really.
Yeah. The party arc is definitely an interesting build up for sure. We get a lot of things really sewn throughout. Like I think one of the big things that this show really does well is the introductions of characters. Like from the minute they appear on screen, we kind of beings as though we know where the story's going. They're really fleshed out and fully formed from the start. Like people like Howie, where we know eventually where Howie's going to end up going forward. And when he first appears, he's very cocksure and full of himself. And by the way, Dragon, that's the first time that we were ever really exposed to the greatness that is Alexander Poncio. So,
by the way, let's say it with ambiance, Alexander Poncio.
So, It's kind of interesting that Poncio, at first, before we just knew him as lovable old Poncio, he's just like, oh yeah, it's the guy who plays Howie. What do you know?
Yep, humble beginnings. Not really at all, but our humble beginnings with Poncio before it became an institution.
Right.
All right, so I guess
Just generally speaking, with my binge, I like you said, I really like how the breadcrumbs kind of go together. I really like how they build up Joker's plan. It's very well seated. It's not like we don't see it right away. We kind of just linger on it in certain elements, and it does a good job of mixing the overall plan with just kind of like the the challenge of just mixing into LA society. And on top of all of that, Dragon, I think the thing that really holds up, especially through episodes 1 through 4, with Brianna Oppenheimer, is I really, really love what we do with the commentary on Joker and Harley's vaguely abusive relationship.
yes, and that's something I'm so glad you brought that up because that is something that really I picked up on. I picked up on certain things with that on the rewatch. I think are really kind of really well set up, especially all the way back in episode 1, which we'll kind of get to. But yeah, it's again, it's just I just can't go without saying yet again. It's just the fact that again you have this character who's kind of right up JGI's alley, and then we kind of mix in kind of the Spinal Tap approach to comedy that we have with that. Where basically they're really going for it, with no holds bar. And again, it's kind of the great thing in them. You gotta remember, this is JGI's first web series. Now, I mean, I know technically we've had watching you. Now, watching you, bear in mind, it's kind of like a pilot chopped up into a few pieces. And even if you want to classify it as a real, honest to goodness web series, which you can play as. But if you want to look at it that way, that was still from the San Antonio Frozen Fire production days. This is really JGI's first web series, and what's so great about it is that it's really giving them a chance to take what they're really good at, and giving them a chance to really let's break away from the comedy a little bit. We always kind of flirt with what if we just kind of live in the reality of the bit? Like what if we did that and just kind of take it as it is? Which obviously the Joker is going to be some comedy, there's also going to be a lot of dark comedy, and so on and so forth. And it really allows the piece to kind of have a breath of its own and really kind of take shape and kind of take the form that it is now. You take this character everyone has an opinion about, and of course everyone's going to have a viewpoint. I can't tell you how many people are like, I like the first Harley better, which you're more entitled to, folks. We have 2 excellent Harleys here. We have Brianna Oppenheimer, we have Nicole Dubois. So of course, to mention, in case people haven't noticed, there are 2 Harleys. We got Nicole, we got Brianna.
I mean, I've always defended the crap out of Nicole because I thought she had a glorious entrance. I love the way that we introduced her with the guessing game.
I think the mark of excellent casting is when you can. It's not about if you can tell if it's the same person or not. It's when it's so matching that character doesn't really matter. It's like sometimes, I saw this when we did Super Academy. On Super Academy, there was a casting change with Corona. I think the character was that strong that you barely noticed. You barely notice here, but you kind of it feels like Harley, so it's perfectly fine. And it's kind of a different take on Harley, so it allows you to kind of stretch even more than you already were. And you kind of have like a grand arc with the original Harley, so it all works out. All right. All right, let's dive right. So let's break them down. Let's go with episode 1.
All right, the roommate. Yeah, so this whole thing, very humble beginnings here, Dragon, because this does feel like it's interesting when you track it, and the series does become more ambitious over time. By the time we get to episode 4, there's multiple locations, a lot of extras, but here it's essentially a 3-man play in one room. Of course, we have the 4th person that comes in towards the end, but it's all very confined. It does kind of feel like a Just Giggle It sketch,
Yeah, and of course, you're right. It's very sketch-based, and of course, any average Joe wandering in like we did when this is pretty much, I think I saw the Making a Murderer sketch outside of this, but this is pretty much the first foray in the Just Giggle as a whole, for me at least.
I'm sure the first one I saw was the Disney Princes.
As I'm saying, that one might have also been there. At least I've seen the thumbnal for that one, at least.
Uh-huh.
When you click on one of them, they have a few thumbnails of the others. The point being, regardless, my point is, I'm sure anyone just kind of seeing this, someone like types in a Joker fan film and this thing pops up, or some point someone discovers this and they're thinking, oh, it's going to be like, oh, look, it's going to be like, Harley and Joker. It's going to be like one of those Spider-Man, Joker, and Elsa things you see on the interwebs. It's going to be one of
Oh,
those.
dear God, that's what you go to first?
No. I'm saying that's what this
Oh,
thing.
man,
I think
my
that's,
mind instantly goes to just, like, lesser versions of Joker and Harley where they're, like, dressed up as the characters, but they're not really trying too hard to emulate the characters.
Well, sure. What I'm saying is like that's Just Giggle, they pride themselves on not being the clickbaity sort of videos. Like, oh boy, it's a memeable thing. And they're very much anti that. It's why we're waiting for Harley Quinn and the Joker. So they're dedicating time and effort and resources into this sort of thing. Where you have like a sort of thing where it's gonna be okay. So it's just like a wacky one-off sketch where it's gonna be okay. Girls looking for a roommate. Enter the Joker and Harley Quinn shenanigans.
Right.
And again, honestly, if I'm being frank, Just Giggle being as great as they are sketches, that could have played.
Sorry.
No, seriously, that could have played, and it would have been serviceable. But again, it would have been kind of the end of. It would have just been like a one and done. But it had so much more legs to stand on. We're actually just kind of allowing it to really. Really go fully into like series territory, and again by staying true to things here. Of course, something we should mention. One of the great things, the logo. The opening logo that happens every kind of our cold open always is the ha ha LA logo.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I just love that it's basically Jokerizing LA visually, which kind of visually summarizes the series so well. Joker himself doesn't change, but he changes others, kind of like how Batman affects others. Again, a great kind of subtle parallel going on there.
One of the things, again, that really holds up on a rewatch for me, Dragon, can we talk about how good Joshua Thomas's laugh is?
It's pretty great.
It's very distinct. He's very much doing his own thing with it. It's kind of a little bit Caesar. I think Caesar Romero is the closest comparison I could give.
Again, it's kind of an amalgam of all the great Jokers. He's kind of taken. Imagine if we took kind of what Cameron Monaghan did on Gotham, but we didn't put any constraints on him. It's like, okay, you're not a proto Joker, and we don't have to avoid saying the word Joker. You're him, man. Go for it. That's essentially what we have with Joshua Thomas. But he's really, again, he's kind of more. I'm not going to say more invested in it, but I'm saying he's more heavily involved in it because again, all aspects of production and figuring things out. Like, I love that he's exploring the set, and I love that he's really just kind of like feeling the room as the Joker, which is something naturally the Joker would do. So that instantly kind of gives you the authenticity of that character.
Right.
So you have one thing I wanted to mention too on a rewatch kind of occurred to me is I love how Harley Quinn is absolutely pivotal to this show. Not just because you could have had this show where you could have just had like, okay, it's Joker doing things, but outside of the appeal of Harley Quinn, of like, oh, we have to have Harley Quinn because she's a popular character. I love that she does complement the series in that again, Joker doesn't change, but again, the character that represents Joker changing people is Harley Quinn. Again, taking her from Harley Quinzel to Harley Quinn. Of course, she's the ultimate symbol of what he's going to be doing to LA, and of course. As we're being kind of hinted at in a few future episodes, we're going to see how is Harley going to change in this series? Is she going to evolve at all? Is she going to kind of do the thing in the comics where she might break off from the Joker, might do her own thing? Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I would say she's kind of the emotional center point of the show.
Absolutely.
Where, Joshua Thomas's Joker is more kind of the lead, sort of like he's a very, like, flamboyant, kind of just, like, attention-seeking guy. And I feel like, especially with Brianna Oppenheimer, like, I really do like Nicole Dubois, but we haven't seen enough of her to really catch where she's going with it.
Well, sorry, go on.
With the four episode arc we got from Brianna Oppenheimer, the big thing that we hit on was, of course, the whole, like, I thought it was just going to be you and me put in, that whole angle where she's just kind of like, she's jealous of Joker's new lifestyle and she wants to live it with him. She doesn't want to take it away from him. She just wants to experience it with him. And she's kind of taken all the glory. And like I said, he's kind of a spotlight hog in this thing.
Let's just say it's been implied we might see a little bit more of this in upcoming episodes. But again, Harley was the one looking for the fresh start. It would seem in a sense, like she's very much looking forward to this fresh start away from Gotham. I would imagine if I were to infer, still like what we did in the pilot here, it would be that Harley's she's very much she's kind of wondering. Can I be happy with Mr. J without we've taken the Batman out of the equation, the huge obsession that consumes so much, all like the third wheel in this romantic triangle is finally gone. I finally have him to myself. can I go for the mad love fantasy of like the kids, the children, the whole the marriage, the whole 9 yards? Could it be possible? And will she make it on her all? Sorry, will she make it after all?
I was more thinking somewhere that's green.
Yeah. Anywho. So yeah, of course, we've already kind of covered the roommate premise of the piece, but we should talk about the roommate. We should talk about Addison, played by the phenomenal Piper Henson, who, by the way, because she actually sent us a little something. She kind of essentially, I won't go into the nitty gritty of it, but the Robotstitute, the Robostitute. I'm sorry, I keep reading that wrong. I don't know why. Because I used to say Robotstitute because I thought it sounded cool, but it's Robostitute. That's how it's spelled. Dang, sorry. Me tangent. Point being, folks, that's coming up, and again, it's going to be online November. Of course, there's some screenings that are coming up. It's going to be very exciting. It's going to be really cool. A short film on JGI. I just wanted to kind of shout that there. Point being, though, Piper Henson knows Addison. What do you think about Addison?
I think her character really holds up. I feel like she's if Harley's the emotional center point, then she's kind of the straight man.
Yeah. And what I really love about Addison is she is just kind of this bubbly innocent, and I love that how we're kind of implying. Again, we don't know if this is going to maintain, because obviously Addison is party to a lot of really bad stuff that's going on under her nose. It's kind of a question of like how moral, how innocent will she remain? And I love the layers that she has. Because, of course, as I've always said, there are two pivotal moments in the first episode. Two moments sell you on the entire series. Okay, moment one. The bruise moment. That's the first moment where it's like this series. It's beyond the sketch. It's beyond what we're doing here. It's just this moment of Joker. If he finds the bruise on her, he covers it up. He zeroes in on those little details. He covers up all smiles, and he's going to deal with Frank later. Not out of like a genuine compassion for, but out of like reputation. Like we can't have it getting out the people who are affiliated with us are getting the crap beat out of them. We can't have that happen. Sign of weakness. Will never stand. And of course, the latter moment is my favorite moment of the whole thing. The sunglasses bit, where basically we have this beautiful. This is the big hook of the series. Again, Piper Henson in this moment, just without a single word. Door opens. She says, "Oh, hey, Harley, what's going on?" And Harley asks, "Do you recycle?" As we see the bloody sunglasses, that is a clear sign of Frank. And the big question is, like, she sees these and she gives a smile. It's a smile of like, "Oh yeah, I'm kind of laughing with you," because Harley's laughing as she tends to do. Or is it like is there a calm like should they kill my abusive boyfriend? This is like a new opportunity for me. Obviously, it's a little bit more.
That's one of the things that I totally forgot about. I must admit is that I always just kind of assume that because I must admit it's been a while since I've rewatched episode 1, but from what I remember, it just kind of ended with him killing Frank. I didn't remember the stinger about Addison. Maybe may or may not picking up on it.
Look, while episode 5 will still probably be my favorite until episode 7's made, just throwing it out there.
Wow, shade on episode 6.
No. Look, episode 6 is going to be great, but we gotta get 6. Look, 6 is going to be great, but I'm saying I'm already blown away by 7 without even seeing a lick of footage on that one. I'm saying that's good. That's good. There's a great story in that one. I can't wait for 6 is going to be great, I'm sure, but 7's going to be
half of this duo is not spoiled on the story for episode 7.
Believe me, folks, I'm forgetting as many details as I can in the meantime. I'm kind of going to see what went into Deadpool. Read the script, then of course 9 years later. Well, I guess in my case 6 years later. 6 years later, then then I kind of went in kind of surprised, but a little bit of guidelines. Like, okay, so that's how they went with it anyway. Regardless, what I'm getting at is seriously, as much as I love 5, my favorite moment in the series so far is that ending, because I just think that's a powerful, just such an insanely good ending to an episode. And again, it's like it makes you hooked on this character. Again, I don't know. It's like it's also it's a really great scene, just played without dialogue at all. Just like with a single reaction, you have, oh God, I have to see episode 2. I have to see where this goes. So,
yeah. Okay. All right, next up, we have episode 2, The Meter Maid.
Yes. Something we should mention is getting into episode 2, of course, given that we're kind of like looking at some of the runners and stuff. Of course, we have the key runners for this series being, we ain't runner, as in like, we ain't juggalos. We ain't. We ain't hipsters. We're not. This whole again. This runner's group.
I ain't a jester.
Of course, the biggest runner too being freak. The trigger word. You call the Joker,
which I have that T-shirt.
Yes, you do. When it says freak, you just Joker. The minute he says, wrong choice of words, you're a dead man. Run the other way. Go to Chattahoochee. Get there tomorrow.
Chattahoochee? What?
Joker reference, anyway.
What?
The Mark Hamill Joker in Beware the Creeper in the episode in New Adventures of Batman. He says, "You nearly blew us, Harley. You nearly blew us the Chattahoochee."
All right.
An obscure pull. I didn't think I was going to have to go through it. I just thought it was like let it land, but okay. Okay, my point. My point is, again, we have some really great built-in runners here. Also, again, something that kind of definitely is very pivotal in episode 2 is Joker and Harley. They mentioned, they're in a low crime area, and ideally, Joker's going to take over this low crime area. Everything's coming at Milhouse for the Joker here. Low crime area, decent apartment, daft roommate, nice girl, but again, she's not picking up on all the horror that I'm doing on the side here. Point being, perfect situation. I can kill all the people I want because it's LA. Who's going to notice? So things are coming up Milhouse for the old Mr. J. All right. So yes, that brings us to 2. Of course, 2 being the grand introduction of a Poncio. A Poncio appears.
A wild Poncio appears.
So 2 for a while was my favorite episode because 2 to me is the most Paul Dini-esque episode. And again, purely coincidental, it sounds like, from Joshua Thomas. Unless he watched really out of all the few of the episodes that he has watched, if Joker's Favorite was one of them, which I imagine it was. I think subconsciously he absorbed a lot of that because Joker's Favorite, of course, being one of the first big Paul Dini episodes. The episode introduces Harley Quinn even.
Mm-hmm.
It of course that one's basically Joker. He has a bad interaction. Oddly, a road or car related one. If you want to go with the meter maid angle of it all, basically Joker has like a passing interaction with somebody, and he fixates on him, and he goes after him, and it's like horror for our amusement of just this one small encounter. Meter maid gives him a ticket, and and Joker cannot let that go. It's fantastic.
But I like how it just genuinely does turn into like how he does seem like a very important kind of he's part of the main cast. It's like if this thing had a main cast lineup, he'd be part of the top 4 or 5.
Absolutely. I mean, he's in there. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, he has to be in the top 4. I was going to say top 3, but then Addison was there first. So
it's him, Jay, Harley, and Addison. Yeah.
Yep. Let's see. Of course, a big thing we establish here. Basically, every time we go to speculation, I always go to episode 2 because episode 2 has the most speculation in it with the list. We have the to-do list that's still kind of a hanging chad, if you will, where basically episode 6 and beyond. I'm looking to this list of what to expect here because we start a new gang, which obviously we're going to get in episode 6, as we kind of seen from the awesome trailer. Establish dominance, kind of inferred in general. Pick up milk, which basically says something in the episode for this one. Pick up milk and get a new car. But the important speculative stuff for me is take an improv class, which I think you know a little something about these days.
Yeah, that was kind of an interesting venture. It was fun while it lasted.
So, of course, the improv class, which, of course, I'm expecting that one. Get a gun guy, get a knife guy. The gun guy must be named Nicholas. The knife guy must be named Raul.
Oh, God.
And the other thing, the 3-minute stand-up. Basically, the improv class and 3-minute stand-up are the things I'm waiting for most. Remember, we did our speculation on. Basically, we did a whole pitch for a Christmas episode, for a Christmas in July episode of Harley Quinn the Joker versus the real world. And again, I think I threw some reference to Nicholas and Raul because I just wanted. I'm just feeding off a lot of this spec here, as you can imagine.
Sure.
Anywho, so the point being that a lot of our setup for what to expect is into, I guess, is my main point. Of course, Joker has refined taste, as we're going to get to in episode 4, but he respects good manners. He hates poor road etiquette. If we learned anything, so again, like this guy, flipping Harley off and everything, that guy's a goner. I mean, I've seen a lot of people's favorite line. One of the favorite lines of episode 2 was, you know what I love? Water-based paint. Water-based makeup. It's just a great line. Hey, Puddin', he's driving a Benz, and don't I know it? a lot of. I think 2 might be the most quotable. I'm not sure. It's 2 and 5 are probably the most quotable.
Yeah.
Anywho, so what happens to Howie in the episode? I love that Howie's kind of this guy with a really mundane, petty existence where he's just getting off on like making people just setting their day back ever so much. He's giving them a ticket when they really don't deserve one.
And I
And
gotta tell you, it's like it's not nothing. If you're living a minimum wage job and you're like trying to make rent and feed kids and you get a ticket, it's like, it could be a major setback.
absolutely. And I love how this is kind of another theme of the series. It's kind of how he's offered a change in his destiny. Again, Joker is providing a moment of change within a young man's life, and now that young man is being turned to crime. And again, we're going to see him do this a couple times. A little bit of setup for episode 5, just kind of taking the youth that he comes across, and let's kind of toss it the way of crime and see what happens. Sometimes gonna go great. Sometimes not so much. One thing. I'm sorry. Go on.
No, go ahead.
One thing I wanted to mention too with Frank is he's dead, so we should probably mention it, because we can't go any further with him. Corey Olnick, by the way, playing Frank, old friend of Joshua Thomas's. The big sell for me with the series, and again, I don't know how intentional because he's kind of going for a classic comics vibe with the Joker's look. Again, kind of a passe of the best. Same thing with Harley. Harley's got a little bit of a lot of Brianna Oppenheimer's Harley, a lot of Arlene Sorkin visually, a lot of Suicide Squad, kind of a handmade Suicide Squad vibe to her. A lot of Margot Robbie in there, a little bit of a mixture. I love how Frank embodies another thing in the series where in setting the Joker in LA, whenever the Joker is kind of the head of is your headline guy, is kind of your hero, your quote unquote hero of the story. If he's your main guy, you kind of go with the Denny O'Neil logic, where Denny O'Neil did a brief series called Joker, which only ran 9 issues because it's kind of tricky.
He's the violent incel. I'm sorry, I had to get one in there.
But you see my point. It's the fact that kind of the Denny O'Neil logic was the only way you can have Joker be the hero or the kind of in a lead position for a story or a comic or whatever you're going to do, kind of like what we're doing here, Joker as your lead. You have to make the people surrounding him by comparison worse people, or at least seemingly worse people. Basically, make him like you really want him to get killed. You really want something bad to happen to him compared to the Joker. Therefore, Joker ipso facto is your leader, your hero. And of course, I love that. It's kind of in the DNA of our thing. Your same thing with the meter maid. We go from Frank, an abusive boyfriend, which also sets up, foreshadows the Harley Joker abusive dynamic, which we're going to do stuff with in 3 onward. Puts a lot of things into play.
Yeah.
All right.
Nice. Okie dokie. So moving on to one of my personal favorites. This is the quickest one, but I think it's one with some of the best comedy and some of the most chilling moments. We have the pregame.
Yeah, pregame.
Going to the valley.
The pregame is one I think plays better on the binge than it does on its own, because again,
it does, man. It really does, because it's kind of in between 2 really big episodes with the introduction of Howie, and then I think the party is kind of like this big culmination of the first three episodes. But this is really good setup. This is very solid setup.
It's very solid setup, but again, like at a point where you have this before you have episode 4, it's a little bit of like, man, it's all set up, like to be continued. I want to see them go to this party, man. You feel not gypped, but you feel like I'm laying in wait right now. But again, upon the binge, upon the waiting, plays very well, because again, we put a lot of things into play here in the sense of we see Howie as a henchman. Of course, Joker very famously has really good henchman characters, and when done right, something that can play a little bit more for drama. If you look at the Joker graphic novel, with Johnny Frost and all that sort of stuff, or the or in this case, or like Bob the Goon. Again, we've had number of very famed henchmen with the Joker in that regard. Bob the Goon. Oh goodness, Bob. Anyway, remember, Bob, you are my number one guy. No, of course, we just have, importantly, Howie is tasked with assembling the gang, which, of course, is going to be a huge linchpin of episode 6. So this is going to be very pivotal, and this gets put into play episode 3. I mean, technically 2, but, again, he's been told to do this by 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the tacky conditioning. I've always loved the conditioning where basically...
oh, my God, the tack thing is just, like, I love how like seemingly minor that is, but it's still kind of torturous at the same time.
But I love how clever it is with the Joker, basically playing mind games with Howie, because he basically, an old conditioning thing, or basically he pricks him with the thing saying tacky, so whenever he hears something that sounds like tacky,
He's got legit PTSD. He's just like, oh my god, like 2 days ago I was a meter maid and now I'm working for this insane man who's gonna prick me with a tack every time I don't follow his instructions. What have I gotten myself into?
And that's the Joker to a T, man. Again, Denny O'Neil had one of the greatest philosophies here, and the Joker, you don't know whether he's going to give you $1 million because he likes your shoes or kill you because he likes your shoes.
Right.
So, of course, this episode we spend some time on Joker and Harley's relationship. So again, we put it in play with kind of paralleled it with Frank and Addison. Now we're getting to see it. We're actually spending a little bit of time on it, where Harley wants to do date night, but Joker has crime and comedy on his mind.
Yeah, and here I think Dragon, I don't know if there has been a more chilling moment on this show than when he kind of silences Harley when she's about to go off to Addison about the situation.
This again, they kind of have a pseudo cover to keep up here as the happy couple, and I mean they are, sensual. They're a twisted couple, so I can't say happy, but you know what I mean. The point being, you're right. It is an absolute. And this is what I'm talking about. These are the moments that make me like relish and like, man, Joshua Thomas is the right man to play this guy, man. Like, give Joshua Thomas. Joaquin Phoenix is kind of a one and done Joker, man. We need a regular Joker. Get Joshua Thomas in the mix.
Yeah,
man.
He's not one and done as much as I want it to be one and done. Hollywood's got another thing coming.
Well, we'll see how that goes. I don't know.
I want it to be one and done, Dragon.
I'm holding out the optimistic hope it is going to be a one and done, but I don't know. We'll see. I think it's just Hollywood. I wouldn't put much stock in it, but then again, I've been wrong before. So, regardless, what I'm getting at here is, seriously, folks. Point being, if we need multiple Jokers, whatever they're figuring out, like any cinematic universe, just an offshoot, whatever. Point is, if we need another Joker, Joshua Thomas is your man. Come on.
Also, Dragon, we kind of skipped over it in episode 2, but I really want to acknowledge Mrs. Erickson.
Well, I wanted to too, but I figured you wanted to brush that one off. Okay, Mrs. Erickson.
No, by all means, let's talk about her because she's great, man. She's so delightful. She's just like she's so in love with like how quirky the kids are. It's just like I just love the whole thing of like now. Me and my friend Howie are playing a little role-playing game in the laundry room. So whatever he does, whatever he says, don't let him out. And then she's just so charmed by this trick. And she's just like, oh, you kids today. All right, Jay, I won't ruin your silly game.
I could be reading into this, but there's one bit that still kills me, assuming I'm reading it right. I love the bit where basically Mrs. Erickson and Jay have a rapport where they run into each other, and Jay's a little flirtatious, as the Joker would be with the elderly, just to be weird. He wouldn't do that. And basically, one is he's being genuinely pleasant, but he's also, the point is that he likes her for some reason he doesn't get it. It's kind of the idea again. It's that Denny O'Neil idea. You don't know how the interactions are going to go. Sometimes a random neighbor will strike him the right way. Sometimes it won't. Anywho, my point is, there's this bit where after a little bit, like they continue a little bit of this banter, and I think Harley. They kind of shoos her away, basically saying, "Don't forget your laundry." And I read that as I was a little jealous in the moment. That's what I read. Just a little jealous. And of course, one of the great bits too with Harley, of course, we have the bomb in the laundry room. And something we should mention too is episode 2 is where we start to get a stylistic change in the series, where we kind of got it very, very lightly in the first episode, where we had a little bit of the editing. And now we're doing a little bit more with the editing. It's going to get it's going to increase as we go forward. Especially, it's going to be off the walls when we get to 5. We play with kind of the fourth wall quality of the Joker. Of course, Joker a few times in the comics, especially the early ones, he would break the fourth wall, and we can kind of get to that place. But also, I like how we're kind of playing with the real world of the title here, where we're getting more. We're getting more cartoony and over the top. We're making it less real, a little bit more hyper realistic as we go on. So, for example, when Joker and Harley enter a room, like they're pretending to be repairmen or like construction guys, essentially, they're dressed as like repairmen or like like an emergency crew getting in the laundry room, expecting an explosion. And then, of course, next cut, they're back in their costumes, like that sort of stuff. We're doing that. We do like this fun gag where Harley's basically pulling the old pulling a lassie on Jay here. It says, "But Puddin', laundry room, Mrs. Erickson, Harley, what is it? The bomb." It's just like uh-oh. It's just like this great slow and nice acknowledgement of oh boy.
And then Ponzio, man, he goes into full on Dragon say it.
Alexander, Monsieur.
He goes into full on that with the whole like he literally goes through like 20 seconds of just like accepting his death.
This is what I love. We mentioned PTSD with attack, but seriously, this is what I'm talking about with the sell the show. I love how we break this man absolutely in every way. This bomb situation, this Saw-like situation. I saw what you did there. Sorry, a little bad pull. I love that he's been given so much perspective in this little time about the pettiness of his existence of like, oh God, I did so many bad things. I'm sorry. He wants to go for a change. In that moment of like, oh God, he's literally about this great epiphany has come to him in a moment.
Yeah.
They brought him to the brink, man. It's crazy.
All right. So, yeah, I'm sorry. Back to episode 3.
Yes, back to 3. So the relationship's a little bit on the rocks. So, of course, in contrast to Harley and Joker on the rocks, we have Howie meeting Addison.
I really want these kids to get together.
Yeah. I mean, look, if Chuck and Sarah could do it on Chuck, maybe they got a prayer. I don't know.
Hashtag Addie.
Yes. Wait, well, no, it's going to be... I'm going to come up with a better name than Addie, because... Well,
all right, hashtag
Howison. Yeah!
Howison.
Hashtag Howison.
All
or
right.
Hattie. Maybe it's Hattie.
Hattie, I like that.
No, but seriously, I like the little interaction. Again, it's very... They only have 2 interactions so far, but again, it's enough to make you buy these 2 crazy kids. Like, you know what? Howie's been through a lot. Again, he's a changed man. He's in over.
He's just
his
like
head.
very charmingly awkward in this moment.
He is. And again, that Piper Henson, man, again, she's like one of those people who's just a little too perfect, a little too perfect in a lot of senses of the word. It's like a little too friendly, a little too nice, just a little too, a little too like, just the charm for days, a little too much of that, I like the old Vince Gilligan adage. Let's ugly her up a little bit. Let's give her a goiter or something. Let's downplay this perfect human. Let's I don't know. Anywho, and basically kind of this peppy actress in L.A. with Addison, I guess more so. The point being, we have I guess I'm going to gush a little bit more here. I love. There's some great deliveries by Piper Henson here, which is this great when they go in while Harley and Joker are bickering. Jay's asking, "Do you have a gun?" No gun.
No, I don't have a gun.
That's what I'm talking about. That's just what's so great about Addison right there. It's just this, just this. Again, it's like hapless but not dumb. That's the great thing. She's kind of like she's in her own little world, but you kind of like getting a glimpse at it, man. Oh, that ass, just everything's going great for her. We haven't seen the heartbreak of the actor's struggle in her yet. We haven't seen it quite yet. We have like the actress who's full of hopes and dreams. She's not quite in the Sally Reed of it all quite yet,
Oh dear.
All right, let's see. So, all right, of course, then, but you kind of teed it up there a little bit. The Harley, stop. Of course,
that moment right there. I mean, it's just it kind of says everything about their relationship in 2 words.
That's what I was getting at too. The one of those moments that just indicates, oh, Josh Down should be the Joker. He can be as kind of fun, like, oh, bar stools. He can do all that, but when he can be serious on a dime with Harley, stop, and you see the utter terror in her face. It's just he plays the unpredictability well in the Joker, which is the quality you have to convey with that character if you want to do him really great.
Yeah. All
right, of course, one of the big draws of 3 for me, the suit up montage. We kind of pay homage to the great Alex Ross shot, which is also one of the few really good moments in Suicide Squad.
God.
We have him basically looking like the Alex Ross thing. A little earlier in that moment, but sure. No, seriously, I have they get dressed up for the party, for the costume party. She's finally in the iconic costume with a little great fourth wall. But everybody happy now, which is great. But then if that was already great, I could have gone home happy after that with this episode. But I tell you, man, the Batgirl moment.
Addison, what the hell are you wearing?
It's Harley serious, just like serious as a dead stop, man. Just like saying, like, Addison, change now. Just like, oh God.
Change.
So of course we got and of course we've had this confirmed, at least the worldview that's been kind of established by Joshua Thomas so far with this, is that This is the real Batgirl's costume. The Batgirl in this universe, that is her costume, implying Killing Joke happened.
Yes, that's very chilling.
And what's creepy to me is that he brings it with him, and the idea that my little headcanon, again, a little bit more optimistic, a little bit more PC, let's say, is that Harley will put on the costume and Joker will just chase her around the room. That's what I like to think happens. Either that, or it might go even darker.
Love that image.
That's what I'd like to think. Or you want to go with the dark comedy route with it, it's going to be like, she puts on the costume and she's laying on the floor. I've fallen. I can't get up.
Oh, no. Oh, God.
There's Joker laughing at her. That's what I like to think. One of those things. It's just like ridiculous. Good look at any other creepier ways. I like to think more in like kind of lighthearted, like, oh, God, it's so wrong, but it's also kind of funny. But seriously, though, the whole Batgirl, I'll admit, the fact she dons this costume and Joker almost killed her out of reflex, and I love that. Again, like these are the three things that cues the Joker up. It's it's freak, it's the juggle, it's like the we are, we're not this, and of course the third one, the one that I'm very fascinated to see us toy with going forward. Whenever we mention the Batman or Gotham City, that's what I'm really looking forward to. I love it when we name drop and just see like it's kind of the challenge posed to the Joker in this series is he's a character who can't change, but that's also a double-edged sword where. Can he really start in L.A.? But he's got to be homesick eventually because Batman is the other half of that, is the other portion of that love triangle, man. He's the other obsession. Like he's a huge fundamental part of the Joker. He's the other half of the coin that Harley's trying to fill. Can he get away from that? And if he can, like he's waiting for him to go stir crazy like he's doing right now. And again, if he might actually kill someone in reference to Batman. It'd be crazy if that happened. That's what I'm saying. It's a fascinating question. I love when we kind of hint at that here and there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so as a point of transition, let's talk about Party Addison.
Oh my God. I'm gonna just go ahead and go on record as saying that Party Addison might be my favorite thing in the whole show.
Really?
I mean, just in terms of comedy, Dragon, I mean, it's not like the best, like, written thing or anything, but I don't know, it just kind of tickles my funny bone. I really love just kind of this alternate identity that she takes on. And just frankly, I kind of dated a party girl once, and I know these types of girls, like the ones that just go nuts and just kind of take on a whole new persona. I've been around this, so yeah, it's very much a good depiction of that kind of lifestyle.
I love that she's not sharing that bottle. As you can kind of glean from the image, like she ain't sharing that bottle, guys. That's Party Addison in full effect right now. And let's just look at this little tableau we got in front of us here. It's Party Addison in effect, and Joker just enjoying the bad habit. We're like, yeah, let's just go nuts with it, man. Let's push her into a bad habit, man. Let's do it. All right.
Okay, next up. All right.
By the way, yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I meant to mention this earlier. All the episodes until I believe until we get to episode 6, honestly, all have "the" in the title. Kind of went the Seinfeld Friends route. It's like always the. It's got to be the.
All right, episode 4, the party.
Yes, this is a major one. This is the big event episode. This is like the big. Honestly, if you were to, if there were a mid-season finale, this would be it.
I could see that. Yeah. There's a lot of moving parts in this one. I think probably one of my favorites, Dragon, is Daryl.
I love Daryl. Daryl's one of my favorites. And I love all this Daryl stuff so much. I can't wait.
I still think one of my favorite lines in the whole thing is like, Daryl, I don't think we can be best friends anymore. Oh yeah, why is that? Because I think I have a new friend. His name is Johnny Walker.
Oh God, just Daryl. He's the one I'm gonna be Poncio levels excited when we get to Daryl making his epic return in Harley Quinn and the Joker. Man, I can't wait for that. So also, I gotta call JGI out on something here, because I noticed this in my research. Man, it's there is a missing credit in this episode, and I know it's like you're saying, like, oh, don't be so hard on the credits. Ordinarily I'd let it slide, probably wouldn't, but I mean, I wouldn't be bringing it up. But it's a major credit that's missing though.
Okay.
So So this episode, of course, introduces Addison's sorority sister, Carmela.
Yes, yes.
Katie, played by the wonderful Katie Mary Garland, who we've had the pleasure of talking to, and you're doing a whole theme month on. I gotta tell you, Katie Mary Garland, head to toe, not in any like supporting credit, or not even like a production credit. She's not there at all.
Okay, Dragon, you know what springs to mind there?
I know what springs to mind.
Just Joshua Thomas, just like, no, I'm not going to credit her.
God. I'm just saying again, whether it's like it's got to be a direct inside joke or forgetfulness, or again, it's maybe like I've always equated like a normal Garfield dynamic with Katie Mary Garland and Joshua Thomas, where they like each other, but there's a lot of it's a lot of Joshua Thomas like can't give her time of day, like Katie just like it's the wrong answer, Katie. It's not a good idea until he hears it from somebody else, that sort of thing,
But I do really like the sorority dynamic that her and Piper Henson have. I think they really do feel like best friends. It's a great kind of back and forth that they have in this episode.
They do. And of course, Carmela is going to have a very pivotal role going forward. Especially, I won't say too much here. Let's just say she's going to be important in episode 6, folks. Carmela is going to have a very specific role. At least, unless something changed in the shooting that I'm not aware of, I believe she's going to have a big part in episode 6. Anywho, again, what do I know? So, speaking of Addison, what I want to piggyback off of this episode, and going at taking another view at it, taking another stab at it, you really get some interesting insight into the other cell of the series in Addison, and kind of like what the LA life was like before Harley Quinn and Joker entered the fray. We get a lot of Addison backstory this episode, where we see Frank had a crew of equally douchey LA bros, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Mo, Larry, and Curly, one of my favorite underrated gags in the episode 2, by the way. Essentially, it's Jay killed Mo. Says, if it isn't Larry and Curly, just naming them because he killed Mo. Because he was split down the middle. Anyway. Also, we meet Crystal, kind of the mean girl and Addison's arch nemesis.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Of course, it's just I&J, the stick it to Addison. Basically, just the stick in Addison's crawl, like, I slept with your roommate.
She really is just she just rubs it in like, I wish he was your boyfriend.
Yeah.
Like, that is just needlessly cruel, man.
That it is. And of course, remember, even when she finds out about Harley, she just doesn't care. She's still I&J here. It's like, I'm going to cause another random person pain who's vaguely is connected to Addison in some ways. It would be like a chain reaction of sorts. Really, really not cool, man. That Crystal deserved what she got. I don't care what Nate Production says. Crystal deserved what she got, man. So of course we already kind of sang the praises of Daryl, but importantly with Daryl, we got to hit the parking garage thing here, where I love that.
I have one critique of this episode, and that's that we don't really have a good justification. I don't really feel like there's a good build up to why these people want Daryl to leave the party, other than the fact that they're just stereotypical bullies and Daryl is a stereotypical nerd.
To be fair, we did see Frank, and we kind of got a sense of like, it's probably the same kind of motive. These guys just they're not really the deepest thinkers, they're not really like, not really friendly guys. They're more like, oh, you're broy and into sports, yeah. Let's say because they're wearing jerseys.
I think a more interesting route to go with it, and perhaps we'll hit it in the future, is that maybe Daryl, like, I feel like I wish that they could have addressed more of the fact that Daryl might make people uncomfortable with how socially awkward he is.
They might go that route.
And that would be a reason for him and Joker to bond with each other.
I could buy that.
All right.
That's the thing. I love that, remember, he's dressed as a killer clown at that party. So I love it's one killer clown befriending the other killer clown.
Right.
Kind of giving him a lesson in asserting himself. And again, a really great example. We keep building on episode beyond episode here. It's Joker corrupting a resident of LA for the better, as far as in Joker's warped POV. He's corrupting the residents of LA for the better.
Mm.
So let's see. Of course, importantly, with Addison, the big arc of Addison here. So Addison, in her party Addison state, she's putting things together. She's raising the question that she didn't dare ask since the pilot. Again, it's kind of subconsciously been there. It's kind of manifesting itself while she's in the party Addison drunken state, where she's starting to have a suspicion about Jay and Harley, about killing Frank. And importantly, I would raise you this. And you could say I'm crazy. You could say it's my own little headcanon gone off the rails here. I like to imagine that this moment, because we don't have the full scene, because Harley leaves before they really have a conversation about things. Even if they did have a conversation, I don't think Ashton would remember it. But she's in a really good place after this episode, so I think she's kind of worked through her. I think she's worked through the issues and the doubt here, and I think just for reasons she doesn't know because she was drunk during this scene, she's kind of moved past like any feelings she had about whether Frank deserved to die or not, or what any questions she had about Frank's. Like, I'm feeling good about life, man, because she worked through it already. All right, so of course Harley drowns Crystal. We think.
God. What slut, Crystal?
Yep, of course, after that victory kiss during the big beer pong game, which, by the way, Sagar was the opponent during that beer pong game.
Yes. I loved how he popped up.
Yep, I know that beard anywhere, man. That's Sagar.
Just kind of like lurking in the background, being a generous scene partner.
The saga continues.
Oh God!
I love the disturbance in the Force gag with Freak this time around. I love how it's just like when Harley is called Freak, Jay can just feel like, oh, he kind of knows. Oh God, she's been called Freak. He can just feel in the DNA. It's great. I love his point is how he shows up at the end. He makes the realization, oh no, Addison's the roommate. Like, any chances I had are dashed now. No. And importantly, though, again, I love with the enthusiasm of Barstools, Joshua Thomas. Joker's so giddy with the hat that he gave Howie. I love that he gave Howie a hat and he puts it on like old driver's cap. I love that's Howie's new costume now, him wearing that hat, and I just love that. It's so funny that Joker wanted to do something nice for Howie, so bought him a hat, and he cares about the ensemble now. It's like, he's going to be a henchman, he's going to be a driver, he might as well look like one.
Right.
Sorry, we should probably mention your favorite gag, the food-related gag.
Oh God, remind me.
It's a little reference to
the In-N-Out truck, of course.
Yes.
It's literally lifted from This Is the End, so I have a hard time discerning this from This Is the End. In-N-Out truck's coming in 10 minutes.
Something that really called out to me in this episode on the rewatch was I love the subtle moments of Harley being told to mingle. Remember, they had this really sad lament of Harley. She's told to mingle by Jay because they're on the rocks, and basically she's really missing Ivy. And then, of course, we have a little tease again. We're not getting Poison Ivy yet. Not getting Poison Ivy yet, but we've seen this Mary character, who again might be in connection to Daryl if we revisit the Daryl well again. Point being, I like that it's just it's a subtle little sad moment with Harley, kind of nicely resonates, and of course we eventually get Jay, the closest the Joker will ever be to being sentimental in the scene. He might be the Johnny talking, but I basically saying that he likes her too, and then they kiss, and it's a big kind of poster worthy moment in the for the episode with all the shippers in the crowd, like, yeah, Joker and Harley forever, man, yeah. It's an abusive relationship, but it's America's abusive relationship, man. God. Yeah, is it wrong? Yes, that's what's so great about it. All right, so I guess that brings us to episode 5, one of my favorites.
Yes, this is the big one. And Dragon, here's the thing. We've promoted this episode so much that I don't even really know how to talk about it without just reiterating the points we've already made about it.
Oh boy, yeah, it's we already covered the shift in Harley, but obviously the opening is a great fourth wall scene.
It is, man. It is. I really do think that people just in general don't give it enough credit for being like, all right, we're addressing that. Clearly it's a different Harley. Clearly the Joker's aware of the fact that it's a different Harley, but he's delighted by the fact that it's a different Harley.
He is. And again, I want to highlight here, again, we kind of have our cake and eat it too. We had a number of episodes with Oppenheimer, and again, kind of got your classic, animated series Harley in a sense. And now we have very much kind of a Tara Strong Harley, kind of like an Arkham Harley. I always use the analogy. It's kind of like Tara Strong's Harley meets Alice from the Honeymooners. That's kind of the way I describe it. It's kind of like it's kind of what Dubois is doing as as Harley. And again, I think she's tremendous. We've seen all these years Dubois, and maybe all these years Dubois has actually been Katie Mary Garland, according to one sketch.
Oh God,
it's a heightened sketch for sure. But again, I know it's obviously it's kind of the joke of it all. But seriously, she's really good as Harley. I could buy it, man. I could buy her for years being a different JGI player.
Of course, I love just being a fan of LA theater in particular, having been to the Pantages to see Hamilton myself. I love the Hamilton joke.
Of course, there was like a deleted opening where they sang the song for Hamilton, but they kind of took that out the last, saying one of the songs from Hamilton.
Yes. And I love how they just do not settle for Book of Mormon. Like, Book of Mormon is just fucking beneath them.
That it is. So, of course, we have some great basically, there's a lot of time between episode 4 and episode 5. In episode 5, obviously, there's the whole, we have a new Harley in the fray. But in addition to that, there are a lot of great cosmetic changes I'm really in favor of. I love, the wardrobe looks really great, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Harley now looks even more like kind of the Margot Robbie version. We gave her the jacket and everything. The property of the Joker jacket looks really nice. The whole shebang. He's wearing a kind of a finer, he's wearing a tighter fitting suit, which looks really good. But we make use of the old suit, one of the landmark parts of this. So, of course, there's a kill every episode. We kill Michael for those Hamilton tickets. Let's see. Here's the thing that really strikes you better on the rewatch. I love that the whole episode is them getting rid of the body. When you really think about it, it's like, okay, they've killed Michael as their cold open, and now they're disposing the body, and that then runs them into the alley, and so on and so forth. So this is a really great kind of chain reaction of events. Where okay, it's just very straightforward. Like, we're not really meandering here, and I think production-wise they're kind of out in the apartment at this time, so that might be why we didn't go back to things outside of the pool. But I approve of the choice, whatever happens. We should talk about Danny. Old Danny boy.
Of course we should talk about Danny. Danny is like the center of the episode.
That he is. Oh my! Of course, the episode 2. We should mention the episode originally sported a different title. It was The Robbery.
Yeah.
Which is essentially the reason we had to wait so long for episode 6, that it was called The Robbery.
Did not agree with the algorithm.
Curse you. Curse your sensibilities, algorithm. Curse you. But no, seriously, basically the next generation of all is in relation to Danny. Again, passing on crime to the next generation. What I really love about this, I love how of course, very famously in the tomes of Batman, an alley is a very haunting set piece. Ever you go down an alley, usually bad things are about to follow, and especially it's a mugging in an alley. Only in this case, it's in L.A. And we saw that worked out for Bruce Wayne, but now we get to see how Joker and Harley Quinn would handle a mugging, and it's just gold. Honestly, I think this is a big reason why.
Dog!
Harley, is it happening? Yes, but it is. Just great.
It's just, these two are just so delighted that they're just going to get to fuck with this guy who's clearly beneath them in the crime hierarchy.
I know, and it's just genius, man. I love this scene for so many. Honestly, I think deep down, this is why I love episode 5. No, obviously the Danny Boy sequence that follows is also any reason to love episode 5 as the best so far. But again, I just love it. It's genius. Again, we're also taking this. Again, we're taking kind of a classic kind of landmark of Batman. We're inverting it and seeing how the Joker would handle this, and I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, I remember when they released the trailer for this episode, the hot diggity dog moment was kind of the big selling point, and for good reason.
Oh, yeah. Of course, I love how Joker's very offended by Danny's lack of showmanship, which leads to him helping him out. It's just too much for Jay to handle.
And then that helping him out, Dragon, it leads to... basically, Dragon, Joshua Thomas, he's an editor extraordinaire. I would say out of all the hats that he wears, I think the editor hat is probably the one that he perhaps might wear the most prominently. He won't even let Sagar edit his own short, his own sketch that he wrote and directed. He's like, no, hand that footage over. I'm editing it. So in that respect, Dragon, this sequence might be his married life.
It might be, and I love that. Here's the thing: it plays with the Piper Henson rendition. Because yes, folks, she can sing too. She's directing Robostitute, She's directing Robostitute and directing, starring in it, and she's also a singer. She's also doing the covers for Harley Quinn and the Joker. What can't she do? Anyway, yeah, that's during this Danny, her rendition of Danny Boy. Originally supposed to be father and son, which also probably would have played, but I don't think it was purely because the Guardians did it first. I think it was more so. It's probably a rights thing, kind of a copyright sort of thing. But I tell you, man, it's a fantastic sequence. I absolutely agree with you. It is married life for Joshua Thomas. Of all the things he's edited, it might be one of the single best sequences.
And this is definitely the most high concept that the show's ever gotten up till this point.
Again, I'll bet you, surely by coincidence, this is a huge moment from only the comic for Mad Love, where you have Harley's fantasy, like her little thought bubble fantasy,
right.
What life with the Joker would be. And again, this is kind of like one of those fantasies where, like, what if they adopted Danny as the kind of their surrogate son in crime, like a Joker Junior to the Mary Brew, as it were.
Oh, God.
Where it's just, oh God, it's just so funny. It's just. Sorry, it's just so much to take in. My favorite part's the chart. I love how he's like, little pointers like showing you funny, not funny. You pulling a knife on Mrs. Erickson, not funny. Setting the Benz on fire, not funny. Setting Addison's Prius on fire, very funny.
Funny.
Like Harley kind of pulling like some shenanigans where like she's erasing her name from the not funny category and says like me and Harley, funny. It's adorable. A lot of gags there, of course, him wearing like the matching suits and like the football and just all this ridiculous.
The football was my favorite moment.
Killing a guy together with a gun. It's like it's a lot of fun. It really is. Of course, remember why all this happens, because Danny Boy, I hate to say, as much as we love Danny, he probably won't be coming back.
God.
However, that one jump scare did make you think, though, because Danny, he gets shot because unfortunately Danny's debut.
Like they just have this whole montage of training him up, and then it's like his first. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dragon. It's basically like Danny's first day of school, right? It's like his first solo robbery after they adopted him.
Well, no, remember here's how it went down. It's Danny. The fantasy. It's entirely like the life they could have had. So none of that actually happened. It's a fantasy of what could have happened. What actually happens is basically, so they train Danny off screen, and basically they get him set up in his alley. He's like, okay, we're all ready here. Danny Boys he's all ready, he's all set, and Danny's big debut, jazz hands and all. Jazz hands unfortunately won't protect him from jazz hand. Folks, if we can learn any lesson from episode 5, is that jazz hands are no match for Texans. They really aren't.
It had to be Texans, Dragon. It had to be Texans.
Yeah, those were Texans. That's not bad. It's like no match. I'm afraid. And I'm sure that's Joshua Thomas's San Antonio days really coming forth on that one. It's got to be,
And not to mention, I feel like Hollywood culture and Texas culture just very, very much clashes. It's like it almost feels like two different countries when you look at it.
In a sense. But that's the thing. So the idea is Danny's shot dead, but then of course I love he awakens after like the loving sequence. And of course the Harley just shoots him again because she just want to kill the mood of like, well, yeah, we don't want to go through all. We don't want to complicate things. But they go to the hospital. Basically, she doesn't want to be upset. I love that she was entertaining this notion, but she doesn't want to be replaced or anything because we know she's very sensitive. Remember, I love how she was freaked out by. When she was going on her tirade in episode 3 about, and all this is going on, though, it's just going to be you and me in the real world, and all this, and how his name sounds like mine, that really bothers me.
Oh yeah, right.
just great here, but I love all this. Which, by the way, one of my favorite Nicole Dubois bit in this whole episode was the doing the impression of Joker. It's the most Alice from the Honeymooners she sounds like, which is like, Harley, I'll never throw a body away again. And then basically she says, oh, Harley, that was really good. I didn't know you do impressions. Because I don't. It's just great. Just poor Harley. Just wonderful. A lot of poor Harley moments in the best of ways. You're just patting her on the head. It's a lot of fun. Anywho, so yes, just again, tons of great stuff, and then the Danny Boy scene, which of course leads to this wonderful bodyguard carry, as the Joker has one more body to get rid of, as he swore he'd never do it again.
It's so dramatic, Dragon.
And I love he just like tosses him in the dumpster, man. It's an epic moment. It is, and of course the Joker getting rid of a body which you just do so callously, ordinarily. It's like this one means something, and again, ridiculously so. Again, I guess I don't mean to hammer in the point too much, but again, this is classic Joker writing, man. This feels so much like I would read this in the comic. Again, the best comment I could ever pay Joshua Thomas in relation to this series, that it feels like Paul Dini wrote this series, man. It feels like the actual guys who you crafted everything you love about the Joker actually worked on this thing. And again, it's the highest compliment I can pay the writing on this show, man. It really is. One thing I want to mention too, just seeing where we're going to check in with this episode 6 onward, is again, we do more of that hyper reality in this episode. This is where it gets really off the rails here, where we're literally living in a daytime soap opera with the Addison story, where Carmela's calling this out like, it's like I'm living in a daytime soap opera, Addison. Basically we're acknowledging that Crystal didn't die; she's in a coma. You can't get more soap opera than that, folks.
Right.
The only way you get more soap
that
opera,
face.
the only way you can get more soap opera than coma is Evil Twin, who's a doctor. Of course, a little fun fact. I don't know if you mentioned this. It's been a while. Joshua Thomas' good luck charm. Joshua Thomas has a special Easter egg. He likes to work in a few of the episodes if he can. This guy was in the park. He was in the Meter Maid episode, but he's also really prominently in this. Sam Horowitz. Sam Horowitz, I believe, is like a friend of Joshua Thomas, or kind of a regular actor, I guess. And
in relation to Richard?
I don't think so.
Right.
It's Horowitz, not Horowitz.
Sorry, my bad. Anyway.
Point being, Sam Horowitz here. He's the bearded guy by the pool, complaining about the sunscreen. And this is what I'm talking about. Like, doing a gag, it's kind of a fourth wall gag where we're acknowledging, basically in the episode, we're acknowledging, yeah, Crystal's alive. Yeah, we pulled a soap opera move, but we're acknowledging it by the side here and basically calling it out through another ridiculous, like, I can't believe this sunscreen, this SPF, it's not the right amount. This is unbelievable. As in just calling out the writing. It's really, yeah, it's a little meta, but also a little bit of like, again.
It reminds me of Sipka's moment in the Pokemon sketch. Is he down and out? What do you say? Will you be dining out?
Exactly, something like that. But what I'm getting at it'd be interesting to see if we keep this up. Is again, we're taking the world is getting less real the longer our outside elements remain in this world. That's the thing. Like, we have this, like Harley Quinn, when she kind of does almost like a Tasmanian devil cut, where then she's in like a schoolgirl outfit, and like when it says, "Is this gonna be on the quiz? Is this gonna be on the test?" And then she's back to normal. That sort of stuff. We're getting more fast and loose with, like, again, we're getting more comic book like in the real practical LA that we're living in. So it's very interesting. Very interesting kind of see how it's getting more and more. It's getting more and more heightened, as it were. Not the show heightened, but heightened within this show.
All right.
And importantly, I guess, getting to episode 6, the big cliffhanger, which leads us into episode 6 with Howie.
Why? God, why? Come on.
The great dramatic, again, kind of the great Alexander Poncio dilemma.
Oh, God, dilemma.
Where Howie is being tasked with, in addition to assembling the gang, he's being tasked with finishing Crystal off, or else he's dead. So, kill Crystal, I kill you. Smiley face. So again, this to me is like the big arc of Howie's. Like, will this guy retain his soul? Like, how is he going to get out of this? Like, is he going to kill her? Like, I was always of the opinion that he was going to kill her, but I always thought the scene was going to break down. I'm pretty sure it's not going to break down this way. If it does, I'll be incredibly shocked, but I doubt it will. I always imagined that Howie would go to the hospital and he would relent in killing Crystal, and she would wake up and she would insult him, and then like he would snap and like smother her with a pillow. That's a way I always thought it would go down.
I like that. That's interesting.
And that would put things forward that, again, Howie is, again, being changed by Harley and Joker. He's becoming a henchman. It's going to be the question, like, can Howie come back from becoming like a Bob the Goon type? Mm-hmm. That's why I imagine it would go. But point being, the important deal is Addison and Camilla are also on their way to visit Crystal in the hospital. So again, Howie's to the hospital. So are they. I don't know.
Right.
Conflict. Okay, that brings us to episode 6. Episode 6 is going to be Major J. We haven't seen it yet, as you can probably tell. And the main thing
we did attend a script reading for it, via a live stream, so we kind of know the gist of it. Yeah. And for that reason, I don't want to talk too much about it.
The only thing we know, I'm going to reference it only in regards to the trailer that everybody got here. So the trailer basically it's about Joker. The Major J title of it all is that Joker is kind of looking at the line of new recruits, as it were. He's kind of evaluating the new recruits of the gang. What that gang's going to look like, I'm gonna let that be a surprise.
Okay. All right, and then obviously you know some stuff about episode 7 that I don't know, so it's like I feel like speculation beyond this point is a little bit it's a little bit dicey, Dragon. We're kind of
Would you like me to give you the title of 7, or do you not want to?
sure. Yeah, give me the title of 7.
Okay, the title of 7, at least unless they change it like they did with with the robbery, is the babysitters.
Ooh,
Yeah. As in, believe me, Tiki, again, just judging from like a script. I haven't even seen the whole script, man. Just judging from the script, I'm just trying to scrub away. It's going to be the best episode yet. 6 is going to be great, and it's going to be the perfect thing to hold you over. Like the way, again, every episode kind of gets better than the last in a sense. Again, I would kind of pair up 3 and 4. I don't want to be that guy. Let's just say every episode gets better and better. So 5 again is my favorite at the moment. I think 6 might usurp that. Again, I'm not going to. Again, it depends. Once we see it, I might do that. I probably will do that. If 2 was my favorite, then it was 5. And I don't know. It's going to go onward. 7 though, man. I'm just seeing 7 as being a great one. In general, what's some stuff you want to see happen in the future of the show?
I don't know, man. I I don't really have that much. I'm kind of just along for the ride.
Well, I mean,
I would like to see more. I would like to see more kind of like LA humor. Maybe I would like to see an arc where they eventually get into Hamilton or score tickets to Hamilton or something like that.
I could buy that.
I don't know about them going to Disneyland, but I would love to go to like some sort of theme park somehow. If they could do some like guerrilla filming there.
Maybe Six Flags, but then again,
Six Flags. Yeah, Six Flags is kind of like that's closer to LA than anything else besides Universal. So
the real question is if Six Flags has like a constraint, like if someone went in dressed as the Joker, you think that might arise problems?
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's even worse than the Disney thing, where again it's literally like they don't want anyone dressing up because they want to be confused with the character. But in this case, Six Flags, it's literally you might have another Joker walking around that could lead to be hilarious to watch.
No,
though.
I mean I just think in general face painting is probably a no-no.
Right.
But I've always argued that the way to write around that is to do kind of like the Heath Ledger Joker thing where he's kind of like, we get to see like plain face Joshua Thomas, but in Joker mode. I think that'd be really fun.
The old 89 approach where he's just made up in flesh makeup for reasons.
Right.
But yeah, in general, not a lot here. Just like in general, like I whatever the final formulation of the gang is, because again, whether it's going to be the next episode or so on and so forth, I love Daryl to eventually end up on the gang, and if I were to speculate, I'd say we're going to see him on a job. Like I'm always curious because this is something that's constantly in flux, so they're not going to nail down whether Harley Quinn the Joker is going to end at like a season 1, then go into a season 2, or it's just going to be a running thing until it ends. So I'd imagine at the very least the next arc, maybe not the ending, but the next big arc, like we had with the whole party being the first arc. Party's the first arc. I think the next arc, given the gang being the next episode, might be a job. I think the next arc will culminate in like they pull a job. They pull like the first heist, like the first aspect of Joker.
I see that, yeah.
Joker, pulling off some crime in L.A. And if I was speculating any further arcs, it would be like, I think at some point the Batman's going to come in the fray, and probably at the very end of the series or very end of the season, if they want to be ambitious, kind of blow things up and then rebuild for season 2. I've always been kind of saying that, but kind of you basically play into the whole. Honestly, just with Daryl and everything we've kind of been setting up so far, I want a horrifying payoff of LA kind of driven mad, or at the very least, at the end of the series or at the end of things, or basically the direction I think we're going, and I kind of want to see the way in Dark Knight Returns we have the sons of Batman, as in people who've been inspired by Batman who are going to be kind of doing his work while he's gone. I'm not saying we need to like the Jokers from Batman Beyond or anything, but seeing the people like Daryl and like presumably Addison, because I think Addison's going to be skewing more towards the ethically ambiguous. If I were a betting man, I think she's going to be down for a lot of the horror that they're going to be inflicting. I think at the end of the day, but that's just me. Anywho, it's point being just like building up the people who were influenced by the Joker by the end of things. So we'll see how it goes. But seriously, man, episode 6 is imminently going to drop. Imminently in the sense of, man, we don't know when it's going to drop. We're going to keep your notifications on, folks, for JGI. Could happen any moment, but it's going to be a delight. I guarantee it.
All right, so thank you guys so much for joining us on this one. It's been fun, kind of going through everything.
And yeah, I think we're going to take a little bit of a break from the grab bag, Dragon, right? Because we've got a lot of stuff going on with Haunted Holiday Hijinks. Of course, as soon as Harley Quinn and the Joker versus the Real World episode 6 drops, we're going to cover it. Probably, I don't know about night of, but at the very least, like within the first day or two after it comes out, depending. Like, we'll have that. Don't you worry. We'll be on top of it with it. But yeah, till then, thanks for watching. And I don't know. Dragon, give us a good Joker outro.
Ooh, bar stools. Addison, your car's on fire.